Welcome to the Logistics of Logistics, a podcast dedicated to exploring how things get places and the people who get them there. We'll talk with logistics and supply chain leaders about innovation, industry trends, and the future of the logistics business. Now, here's your host, Joe Lynch.
Hello, friends. This is Joe Lynch with the Logistics of Logistics, and today's topic is Uncover Your Potential with my friend Ann Holm. How's it going, Ann?
It's going great. Spring's a little late, but it's going great otherwise.
Yes, at least it's not winter still. Ann, please introduce yourself and your company and where you're calling from today.
Okay. I'm calling from Minnesota, and my company is annholm.net, and I am an executive coach.
And you are my executive coach. And I think I've been working with you for probably 10 years off and on. And we've done a lot of projects together. When I was doing a lot of training, we did a lot of stuff together because it was a nice compliment. So we're calling today's podcast Uncover Your Potential. What do you mean by uncover your potential when it comes to working with your clients?
Yeah. So what I mean with uncover your potential is often we are either performing at just a sort of a constant status quo sort of level. Maybe we're underperforming, or maybe we have this capacity to level up as well. And what I help individuals and teams do is to get to that next level, to help them either come to a level that's adequate if that's what their goal is, or go further up if that's what their goal is, but helping people uncover what is their potential for performance and job satisfaction.
And I can speak for myself. When I came to you, I just felt like I was in my late 40s, and I just felt like I had personal issues, and I also had professional issues, and I just felt like I had just adopted some bad habits. I'd had some setbacks, and I knew I could do more. I'd had enough success in my life to know I could get to another level, and I wanted to be successful at that level. And I wasn't even sure what I was going to do. And you were very helpful in kind of pushing and shoving and getting me in to do some things. And you were the one who said, Joe, you need to start blogging, which I was like, well, why? but I eventually started the Logistics of Logistics as a blog, and I built a big following. And it was something that as I started to do it, I realized it's a lot of work, but I like how it feels. And it was something that I was relatively good at. And I felt like that was something you were able to pick out of, that I was, I guess I knew I had some of that in me, but it took a coach to see that outside perspective of it.
Yeah. So what I think you're speaking to is this capacity that everyone has to do something else, especially if they're feeling like they're stalled or stagnant or whatever, which is where stuck. So when I encountered you the first time, it was you had a feeling of stuck. So what a coach will do is help shine the light in different potential areas for you to explore. We're not going to tell you you have to, but we're going to say let's take a bigger view of who you think you are, and see if we can harvest something and take it in a different direction. And so from when I encountered you to what you're doing right now, which is the blogging, well, you're not blogging anymore. You've taken it yet to another level by podcasting, and making podcasting like or if not the principal thing that you do. That was a long way from where you started. And through that, it was a process of self-awareness and self-discovery where you knew where to point the ship based on that. There was new coordinates, so to speak. So if you think of yourself as a ship, new coordinates, new direction.
And you mentioned self-awareness. To talk about that stat that I just hate.
Everybody hates to hear this, but the Harvard Business Review had a publication in 2018 in which 95% of people describe themselves as self-aware. And
That's me.
yeah, so there's only 5% out there, right? Well, and when they measured this, only 15% were
Oh,
self-aware.
so a lot of people are being self-delusional. Not me, but others.
Yeah. Well, so there's lots of levels of self-awareness. So you could say, for instance, you know, yeah, I know I'm late for stuff all the time. So, and you might say that makes me self aware. Well, it really doesn't. It just makes you able to label what people say about you all the time and, okay, I'm late. But to feel it at those deeper levels, what's the impact of being late? What's the impact of other people? To feel it at a level in which you feel motivated to change and want to put that effort into it, that's self-awareness. And a lot of times we just sit at the cursory level of it, like, yeah, I know I'm late, or yeah, I know I'm not really good with details, that kind of thing.
Right. And I think this is the problem is um, it's hard to know. It's hard to see yourself as others see you. That's why you need a coach. Your coworkers, your family, your friends, they see it too. They aren't going to say anything. And I think, if you're a salesperson or if you're in a leadership position, it becomes even more magnified that what my lack of self-awareness or those weaknesses become more exposed. And I think that's kind of what I went through when I reached out to you, is like, hey, I'm stuck. And again, some of it was maybe banging my head against the wall, and merely that I should have gone through the doorway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? That I love that metaphor, because that's what a lot of times what we do is that we either bang our head on the wall when we're standing right next to a door, or we try to open one door, it's locked, and we assume every other door in that sequence is also locked, and then we get stuck, and then we know there's this feeling inside of ourselves that we can be more, or we could do more, or we could not only be more and do more, but actually enjoy what we're doing more, but we're a little bit hesitant to try more doors. And that's what a coach will do, is help you look at, what door do you want to try? What's the risk? What's the gain?
So what are some of the typical problems you solve for customers in the logistics space, since that's who normally listens to me?
Yeah. So, in the logistics space, a lot of leadership development, individuals who are good at what they do skill wise. Let's say you're a guy in operations, for instance, and you're really good at operations, but now you have to lead others. You're in charge of operations, and so you have to get that staff to follow you. Well, that's a completely different thing, because our tendency is to say, just do it my way. And oftentimes when people are promoted to a level of people leader, uh, they they underperform because they haven't developed enough self-awareness to know how they're coming off to other people, for instance. They haven't developed a sense of strengths. They haven't developed a sense of blind spots. All those things factor into effective leadership. And so that would be somebody that I might encounter.
Yeah, and you mentioned leadership. So much of what is sales is leadership. We're trying to influence others. And even if you're an individual contributor, you're trying to influence other people to your way of thinking on a lot of projects. So we're all in sales. We're all in leadership.
Yeah, very well put. And so, skills of influence are based on uh, what I like to say, self awareness is other awareness. So, if you know that this is your strengths, your blind spots, this is the way you like to communicate, et cetera, et cetera. But then you look outward and you recognize somebody else does this differently, you have to be able to bridge that. And that is often a skill that needs to be coached, because what's obvious to you is obvious to you, right? But not necessarily to the people you're trying to lead.
Also say sometimes people I don't see the nose on my face. I know it's there, but I don't see it all the time, right? And what sometimes is maybe my strength or my weakness that I'm not addressing. It's just that clear to other people, but I'm not
Yes.
addressing it. Anyway, so what makes you different and better? There's a million coaches out there. Everybody and their brother is now a coach. What makes you different and better from the other coaches out there? besides being my coach, I mean, that's of course a cool thing.
Well, so what I would say is my experience, my training, and my ability to look at everyone as an individual. So, effective coaching is really a co created partnership between the person that you're coaching and the coach. So, yeah, if you have a lot of experience, then you have the flexibility to relate to where that person is coming from, and to see them as individuals and to work with them as individuals. Because, for instance, what we like to say in my industry is an acorn is going to be an oak tree, a pine cone is going to be a pine tree. But if I go to a pine tree and tell it to behave like an oak tree, good luck, right? So being able to identify somebody for their individuality, and bring a host of tools and mindsets and strategies to work with them, I think is what makes me different and better. And of course, I've worked with a lot of logistics companies. So
I will throw this out there, and I think what you said, I totally agree with. I'll add this to it. You mentioned your education. You were a speech pathologist. So you work with people who had brain injuries, brain damage. So you are a brain expert, which helps for that underlying foundation. And then what I've liked about working with you is it's not about your success where you say, this is how I got to the top of the logistics game. This is all individualized, and you use a lot of tests. You use a lot of stuff that's proven. So like when you get a report back from Ann, it's not Ann's, it's her 2 cents, but there's a test first. And I like that. So a lot of coaches are like, rah, 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 motivational. Here's how I reached the top. That might not work for me. I'm not like you.
well, and you know what, that can be, so that kind of individual can play the role of inspiring you,
A
or
mentor.
yeah, a mentor is a good example, or somebody who might, bellow the energy a little bit like that. But as far as uncovering potential, this really, it starts with self-awareness. It starts with where am I right now? Um, let's get the lay of the land. And when you did mention tests, and I want to say these are sort of, a lot of times we use the term surveys or inventories, because what we're trying to do is get the lay of the land for people. We're not trying to decide, sometimes when we think of tests, we think of, good or bad or whatever. We're really looking for what kind of a situation are you in? What kind of a strengths, blind spots, all those kinds of things. We do an inventory and then we start from there.
I love one of the best things when I first started working with you. I got a report and said, "Hey, here's what you're really good at," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm good at that." Which, by the way, who doesn't love to see that? But then when you pointed out the weaknesses that I have, I was like, "Yeah, definitely there." And then when we started saying, "Okay, let's focus more on the strengths, and then let's address these weaknesses in these ways," it was. I got strategies for it, and that was helpful. And I think it articulated those strengths and weaknesses in a way that I knew at a high level, but didn't know to that depth. And that what became very important to me. Still
Depth of
is.
self-awareness is super, super important, and it's an ongoing process.
Never ends.
Yeah, I've been working on this for decades myself, and some new revelation I had about myself not about 6 months ago. My kids go, "That's one of the most annoying things about you. I can't believe it took you forever to
You can't
know
trust
that."
them.
I
You
was
can't
like,
trust them.
"Okay," when I'm trying to keep the peace, I'm actually avoiding stuff, and I'm trying to say I'm keeping the peace, and they're yeah. Well, you know what? It's actually really annoying. Oh, really?
And your kids are too old to send them to their rooms too. So
Yeah. It was good feedback to know. The key there, the feedback was helpful because it helped me go take it to a different level as far as the way I do things. And I guess my take home message is it's a work in progress. And if you're open minded, the sky's the limit.
yep. So let's wrap this bad boy up. And so, how do we reach out and talk to you?
So you can reach me at my website, annholm.net, ANNHOLM.net. And you can, right on there's a little button where you can schedule a consultation. What I
For
like
free,
to
right?
For free. It's free, yes, because I like to talk to you first to see if I'm the right professional for you. There's occasionally I'll get somebody that books a consultation and I'll say, yeah, you know what? I know of somebody else who might serve you better. And so you book the consultation and then we go from there. I have uh, packages that I offer, or we go individual and go with a very specific individual proposal. But I always like to talk to you first for at least 30 minutes to kind of get a lay of the land on what you want and need and what your expectations are.
Excellent. Well, Ann, you've been a great coach to me. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about uncovering your potential.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, Ann. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right. And thank all of you for listening to my video here. Your support's very much appreciated.
You've been listening to the Logistics of Logistics podcast, where we engage in conversation with experts in the logistics field. For more details, visit thelogisticsoflogistics.com or follow Joe Lynch on LinkedIn.